Famous Guitars, episode 17. And for your famous guitars today, I'd like to talk about this baby right here. And of course, I'm talking about Van Halen, Eddie Van Halen. His primary instrument from about 1977 to 1983, known by such common monikers as the Frankenstrat, Frankenstein, or simply Ed's Baby. It's perhaps the most iconic and valuable electric guitar in modern history. It is the guitar most associated with Eddie Van Halen through his career, particularly in his early years, only rivaled by the Kramer 5150 and his later Wolfgang models. Unlike the latter contenders, the Frankenstrat was a true experiment that Ed personally modified and improved consistently over its 6-year use as his primary guitar. Neck swaps, pickup swaps, and bridge swaps were common, and sometimes even occurred on a day-to-day basis. 1978 was the year of the original Frankenstrat. It was first seen by the world at that point in time, and Eddie bought a Strat replacement body and Strat replacement neck from a company called Boogie Bodies. It was a guitar shop owned and operated by Wayne Charvel. Eddie paid about $50 for the body and $80 for the neck. The neck had a CBS-style Fender Strat headstock with a bird's eye maple neck and maple fingerboard. Eddie only liked the sound that a humbucker could give him, so he quickly determined that the body route wasn't quite large enough to accommodate the Gibson PAF that he intended on installing. Therefore, in typical Van Halen style, he started chipping away at the body in the bridge position until it fit the bigger pickup. It was an ugly solution, but the guitar was covered by a black one-pickup pickguard, so the messy woodwork wouldn't show. Ed removed all of the tone controls, also opting to instead wire the pickup directly to one volume pot. The volume pot was famously topped with a white tone knob. To finish the project, Ed found some Schwinn bicycle paint in rattle cans and painted the body black. Then he wrapped masking tape randomly around the body and painted it white. Once he removed the masking tape, it was left with the famous white and black Strat that can be seen on the cover of Van Halen 1. In late March of 1979, frustrated by seeing copies of his stripe pattern on off-the-shelf guitars, he hastily prepared, taped up, and added a layer of red paint to the guitar, transforming it into what we commonly know as the Frankenstrat today. It was 1980 that Ed discovered an inventor from Seattle, Washington named Floyd Rose. Floyd Rose developed a new type of bridge that enabled the style of deep dive bomb whammies that Eddie loved without the guitar getting whacked out of tune every time. This was from the double locking system. The strings were locked down on the neck at the nut. The rare early Floyd Rose bridge that Ed used did not have fine tuners that we're accustomed to today. Ed also got rid of the full-size white pickguard, opting instead to cover only the control cavity. He also did not use pickguard material. He actually cut a small pickguard out of a black vinyl record and covered the back of it with aluminum foil for shielding. Ed's pickup in the guitar at this time was still a Gibson PAF, this time with white bobbins. Ed discovered that the pickup was microphonic, so he hand-dipped the pickups in pure paraffin wax, a technique that's commonly used today by all major pickup manufacturers. 1981 saw only minor changes to the Frankenstrat. The PAF went back to black in color. The vinyl record was replaced by a proper pickguard, but in true Van Halen style, it was trimmed down to only cover the control cavity. A three-way switch was screwed into the middle position route, and a red Mighty Mite single coil pickup was added to the neck position, but both were just decorative because Ed couldn't figure out a way to wire them together functionally. In 1981, it's also the first time the quarter appeared. Ed couldn't get a Floyd Rose to intonate correctly after dive bombing, as there was a small gap on the bass side, so Eddie screwed down a 1971 quarter to the guitar body, which shimmed the gap between the body and the bridge. Now in 1982, Ed swapped the Floyd Rose for a newer model that intonated correctly and had fine tuners. This eliminated the need for the quarter, however, Ed kept it on the body. The guitar has now seen world tours and has a substantial bit of road wear and damage. One of the oval reflectors on the back is now snapped in half, and that happened on the Fair Warning tour. Ed has swapped the neck out for another with more modern Strat headstock. Ed loved placing his lit cigarettes in between the tuners under the strings on the headstock in the concert, and which of course made burns on the headstock. At one point during the tour, Ed actually placed the Frankenstrat up against the freshly painted Van Halen banner, resulting in blue paint transfer to the body and the reflectors. The Frankenstrat was displayed at the Metropolitan Museum of Art from April 1st to October 1st of 2019. This This allowed many people to see the Frankenstrat up close and personal. Furthermore, it allowed people to take a high-quality photograph and even videos to see the Frankenstrat in extreme detail. The Frankenstrat stayed unchanged from 1997. And since Edward's passing on October 6, 2020, his son Wolfgang Van Halen mentioned that the guitar is in a heavily secured vault with other guitars and assumed to be retired. So that is your Famous Guitars Episode 17, the Edward Van Halen Frankenstrat. Like, share, and follow for more Famous Guitars.